Anim means, I would say, in Latin, it means the soul. So I look at it as the art of capturing the soul. And technology is always there to support that endeavor. Um, so I'd say whether it's it's caricature, it's movement, it's the visuality of it, it's just the art of capturing the essence of your characters, really.
I was set to the task of coming up with a design for the model sheet for the genetic guns. So I'm looking at this and kind of going, well, okay, it's got a helmet sort of thing, and these turret things need to move, and I just looked at it and I said, oh wow, I have no idea how I'm going to build this. Now, this is a science fiction movie, and one of the things that you want to try to do with science fiction movies is you want to base whatever it is you're doing on something in real life so that it makes sense. So while I was sitting there pondering it, a couple of the guys from the effects department came up and they said, and they looked at me and they said, time for a field trip. We're going to Skycraft. And Skycraft is this store on Fairbanks Avenue here in Orlando that has all kinds of stuff that you can buy, like that leftover parts and pieces. And I'm sure that my father, who was a television engineer for many years, had gone to Skycraft, but he'd never told me about it the whole time I grew up here. So I said, what is Skycraft? Oh, come on, we're going to Skycraft. We're going to field trip to Skycraft. So we get in the car in the middle of the workday, drive to downtown, Winter Park, whatever, to Winter Park, and we went to Skycraft, and I went in there, and it's just like this giant store full of junk, basically, and I was looking specifically for different kinds of hinges that we might possibly use for the genetic guns. How smoothly it moves, and I thought of that as the base of the genetic guns. We could, move them around really smoothly. I was looking for things specifically for the genetic guns, and so, the size of them didn't matter. I was looking for the mechanics of how it would work. I mean, look at how complicated and amazing this hinge joint is. And that became, I gotta be careful with this because I'll pinch myself, but that became a part of genetic gun. I just changed the shape so that it looked more like, it could be possibly a fish bone or something, So I was just looking for things, and, we wanted to be able to have maximum flexibility. It's just a hinge. I think this is a tent. This is for tent poles or something. They wanted to, it needed to be able to bend like this and move around, and it needed to be able to move as much as, it's shown in these little tiny drawings. What they look like. It had a turret that would like blast, And so I was looking at these little sketches. It has a shape. It has a helmet that they wanted on it, and whereas all the traditional artists were making model sheets and they were hand drawing them, I actually built it in 3D because I knew it was going to be a 3D prop. And so here's our little ball bearing thing here. Here's the hose, here's the ball joint. So this is kind of, and then when you rendered it, we had software that we used at Disney that could render ink lines from 3D so that it would fit into the film. So if you look down here, see this? This is the scissor joint. But I modified it so that it looked like sort of was kind of had, fish bone kind of feel to it.
My favorite project. Mulan was exciting because it was the first one our studio did all by itself. There's a lot of frustration with Mulan because we would finish scenes and then see them get tossed and the story get restructured. So that was kind of crazy. Lilo and Stitch was just plain fun. It was just a lot of fun. Chris Sanders, crazy guy. He was our director, and he did a lot of crazy, goofy antics kind of things. Like the time he stuck one of those Listerine roll-up things in his nostril. Don't know why.
But when I wasn't doing those chores, those day-to-day chores, which was very limited actually, I would be, being trained by Harry Walton, who was the director of animation and visual effects there at the time, who was another one of my mentors, a great man. I was being trained by one of my true dear one of the dearest people in my life that I've ever known too, Tex Avery, who was teaching me gags, what gags were all about, and why you use a gag and why you don't use a gag in certain situations. About two-dimensional animation, he was teaching me that. So it was this wonderful learning experience from these great geniuses and these great creators that I had read so much about over the years and learned who they were. I think that's kind of where my whole love for the history of animation came from too, and the respect for all those individuals. And that's why I've continued on with the history aspect of it and become a historian in regard to animation.
Probably my favorite shot was the one with Lilo, where she drops the doll and she picks it up and goes back over the hill. And the directors really liked my work.
I was an illustrator. I got a degree as an illustrator. And one of the things about my drawing itself was that it was a single drawing. It didn't feel like it moved. It wasn't alive. And when I got into animation, it made me realize that we are trying to create something or make something come to life. So when I look at and think about animation, it is we, the artists, the animators, that are imitating and bringing something to life, making something move. We're not just on a still. We want to make it come to life. And as the medium itself, animation covers a variety of things. We don't just do a character. We think about layouts, backgrounds, effects, all kinds of things. We deal with graphic arts, we deal with illustrations. In a layout artist, you're thinking architect, all kinds of things like that. So we cover a lot of different parts of the arts. Even in sculpting, we even cover that zone. Even in 3D, you're modeling, but even in the 2D world, we're also creating what we call maquettes, and we're sculpting. So what I love about animation is we're covering so many different variables of art in itself. And I think that's fulfilling for me.
With animation, there should be a reason for animating something. It should be something magical about it, or something that you couldn't easily depict with just plain old live action.
Basically, when I see something that I've created come to life, even if it's a pencil test or even if it's a rough or a pop through or anything like that, keyframe animation, whatever, in whatever format that I'm animating in, it's special because you are bringing it to life. And that gives me a very, very good feeling inside. Like I've created this wonderful essence of this character, and I keep refining this essence as I continue to improve on its animation.
It's all things good design, good art, beautiful drawing, beautiful painting. The math involved is amazing. The technical interweaving of art and craft is just I don't know, it's joy. It's a pure joy.